Sunlight weaves through the dense canopy, painting the forest floor with shifting patterns of light and shadow. Birds sing joyful melodies, their voices resonating through the ancient trees. Squirrels dart among the roots of the ancient trees, their playful movements adding life to the serene scene. The air carries the scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers, enveloping the senses in a natural perfume. In the heart of the bear's cozy cottage, Mama Bear busies herself at the stove, filling the air with the comforting scent of porridge. Papa Bear sits absorbed at the table, lost in the rustling pages of his newspaper. Baby Bear is on the floor, his brow furrowed in concentration as he carefully stacks wooden blocks, building a tower that mirrors his dreams. Mama Bear tastes the porridge, her face twisting in displeasure. "It's too hot," she exclaims, pushing the bowl away. Papa Bear suggests, "Let's go for a walk in the forest while it cools down." Goldilocks, a young girl with golden hair, skips happily down a sun-dappled forest path. Her eyes sparkle with wonder as she pauses to pick colorful wildflowers. Lost in her adventurous spirit, she gazes deeper into the woods, her heart filled with anticipation. Goldilocks approaches the bear's cottage, her footsteps faltering as she confronts the quaint dwelling. A moment of hesitation hangs in the air as Goldilocks contemplates the threshold. With a determined push, Goldilocks opens the door. She steps inside, crossing the boundary into the bear's hidden world. Goldilocks cautiously enters the bear's cottage, her eyes drawn to 3 bowls of porridge on the table. She approaches the table slowly, her curiosity piqued by the tempting aroma of the porridge. Goldilocks pauses, her hand outstretched towards the bowls, a mix of anticipation and apprehension on her face. Goldilocks approaches Papa Bear's bowl, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Too hot," she says, her face contorting in displeasure as she recoils from the taste. She then moves to Mama Bear's porridge, curiosity piqued. "Too cold," she shivers, her shoulders hunching slightly. Finally, she turns to Baby Bear's porridge, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Just right," she exclaims, devouring every last spoonful with delight. Goldilocks gazes upon the 3 chairs, her curiosity piqued. She approaches Papa Bear's chair, her tiny hands attempting to climb onto the seat. "Too big," she exclaims, moving onto Mama Bear's chair. A look of distaste crosses her face as she touches Mama Bear's chair. "Too hard." Spotting Baby Bear's chair, she plops down with glee. "Just right." The fragile chair legs buckle, and the chair collapses beneath her. Exhausted, Goldilocks ascends the stairs, her energy waning with each step. She reaches the bedroom, her weary body craving rest. Goldilocks, a mischievous glint in her eyes, tests Papa Bear's bed with a bounce. "Too hard," she declares, her face scrunching up in displeasure. She gingerly settles onto Mama Bear's bed, sinking slightly into its depths. "Too soft," she exclaims, a slight frown creasing her brow. With cautious anticipation, Goldilocks reclines in Baby Bear's bed. "Just right," she murmurs contentedly, drifting into a peaceful slumber. The forest path stretches invitingly, winding through the dense trees. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear trudge along the path, their steps heavy with fatigue as they make their way back to their cottage. Each step echoes their longing for the comforts of home. Papa Bear stares intently into his porridge, a frown deepening on his face as he notices a disturbance. Mama Bear glances at her own bowl, her expression mirroring Papa Bear's realization. Papa Bear's voice booms with suspicion. "Someone's been tasting my porridge." Mama Bear echoes his sentiment, a hint of surprise in her tone. "Someone's been tasting my porridge too." Baby Bear looks down at his empty bowl, his lower lip trembling as tears begin to well up in his eyes. Baby Bear cries out in anguish. "Someone's been eating my porridge and ate it all up." Papa Bear enters, his eyes narrowing as he notices his chair is askew. He bellows, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear follows, her voice rising in surprise. "Someone's been sitting in my chair too." Baby Bear rushes in, his voice filled with dismay. Someone's been sitting in my chair and broke it. Papa Bear cautiously peers into the bedroom, his brow furrowed with concern. Mama Bear enters the room, her eyes widening as she takes in the disarray. Papa Bear's voice booms with indignation. Someone's been lying in my bed. Mama Bear, equally surprised, echoes his sentiment. Someone's been lying in my bed too. Baby Bear points a tiny paw towards the bed, his voice filled with surprise. Someone's still lying in my bed. Goldilocks startles awake, her eyes widening in disbelief. She sees the three bears looming over her, their eyes locked onto her. A piercing scream erupts from Goldilocks as she leaps from the bed. Her heart pounds in her chest as she makes her escape. Goldilocks explodes from the cottage, a flash of blonde hair as she escapes into the trees. The three bears stand silhouetted in the doorway, their faces masks of inscrutable emotion. Goldilocks races on, the cottage shrinking behind her with each desperate stride. I vow to never enter someone else's home without permission again. The forest reclaims its peace, the rustling leaves whispering tales of the day's intrusion.